Somewhere in the 1980s, Ted Turner had more debt than almost any private citizen in America, billions in today's money, and he was worth even more billions simultaneously. That's not a contradiction. That's the game. Most people think debt is what happens when you run out of money. The wealthy think debt is what happens when you find a money printer with someone else's name on it. Here's the actual mechanics. When you borrow money, that cash hits your bank account tax-free. The IRS doesn't tax loans. You didn't earn it, you borrowed it. So a billionaire who borrows $50 million against their stock portfolio has $50 million to deploy, zero tax bill, and still owns every share. The stocks keep appreciating. The dividends keep flowing. The loan just sits there at rates far below what you or I could ever get. And the carrying cost is easily absorbed by their asset growth anyway. This is called buy, borrow, die. And yes, that's the actual Wall Street term for it. Here's the part that breaks people's brains. To pay for daily life, these people don't sell assets, which would trigger capital gains tax. They borrow more, then they die. When they die, their heirs inherit the assets at the current market value, not the price they paid decades ago. The profit they built over decades, never taxed. The loan gets paid off by selling a small slice of the inherited assets, and the rest of the fortune rolls forward, untouched. The tax bill, roughly zero, on billions.
Elon Musk borrowed over $60 billion against Tesla stock between 2018 and 2022, according to SEC filings. He wasn't broke. He just understood that selling costs you 30%. Borrowing costs you 3%. Larry Ellison financed a lifestyle, private islands, America's Cup racing teams, a whole Japanese village, almost entirely through loans secured by Oracle shares. At one point, his personal debt was around $10 billion. His net worth was 10 times that. These aren't cautionary tales, they're operating manuals. Now here's the system underneath the system. Banks compete aggressively to lend to the ultra-wealthy, not because they're generous, because a loan to someone with $500 million in collateral is basically free money for the bank. The risk is microscopic. The wealthy borrower gets a rate that a small business owner would cry over. And unlike a mortgage on a house, there's no amortization schedule, no monthly principal payment. Some of these loans are interest-only, indefinitely. So the bank gets a reliable return. The borrower gets cash to invest in something that will outpace the interest rate. Both win. Which means the gap between them and everyone else compounds automatically, whether they do anything or not. There's a specific playbook real estate developers use that makes this even sharper. Build a property. Borrow against its appraised value, often 70 to 80%. That cash is tax-free. Use it to buy the next property. Depreciation from the buildings offsets rental income on paper. On paper, they sometimes show a loss while pulling in millions in actual cash flow. The building goes up in value. They refinance at the new higher value. Pull out more tax-free cash. Repeat. Donald Trump's accountants describe this structure openly in court filings. Warren Buffett has written about borrowing against Berkshire stock at rates below Treasury yields. Neither is hiding it. The code is just written in a language most schools don't teach. What makes this a weapon isn't just the tax avoidance, it's the compounding asymmetry. Every dollar a wealthy person deploys into an appreciating asset while borrowing at favorable rates is a dollar that earns the spread. If markets return 7% annually, they're pocketing the difference on someone else's money, at scale, indefinitely. The middle class borrows to consume. Cars, credit cards, mortgages. The interest is a cost. The wealthy borrow to acquire. More assets, more leverage, more collateral for the next loan. The interest is also a cost, but the asset-producing returns usually makes it irrelevant. Debt for the poor is a trap. Debt for the rich is infrastructure. The real unlock is understanding that the system was not designed around salary. Salary is taxed first, spent second. The whole architecture of wealth accumulation is built around assets, loans, and a tax code that's been shaped actively and expensively by the people who benefit from it.